Hello, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk with immigration attorney Brian D. Lerner. In this particular episode, I'd like to talk about a couple issues that seem to have come up quite a bit recently in regards to a change of status and transferring H-1B's. Now, H-1B is a work permit, which these days it's basically a lottery to get. They only pick 65,000 per year, and 5,000 of those go to a particular country, another 5,000 to another country, which drops it. So, anyways, there's like 250,000 people that apply, and if you don't get selected, then you get the next year's allotment to try again. But the issue is on an H-1B, if you've made it the first time, whether or not and how you can port to another H-1B employer. And basically the law is that you have to go under this lottery system the first time, but then after that, you no longer have to be subject to the cap of the H-1Bs. You no longer have to go under the lotteries. You can actually even file another H-1B petition with another employer, and you can actually start working there before the petition's approved. Now, of course, if it's denied, you have some problems, but assuming it's approved, you don't have to wait for the approval. You don't have to do it under premium processing and pay the extra money. You can just file it regularly and then go and start working for the new company. Now, the issue that I've had a lot of times is people will call and they'll say, well, I'm going to port over my H-1B to another employer, but as of now, my my spouse has an H4, which is pending. So basically, in this case, the H1B that this guy was on, he filed an extension. And he also filed an extension for his spouse for her H4. And then before they received the answer on the extension, he wanted to go work for another employer and wanted to know if it was okay that he file another H4 for his spouse. Well, the problem with that is that once you have an application already in to immigration, that's what controls. You cannot file another application until that one's been adjudicated. So basically, I had to let this person know that his spouse may go out of status depending when the H4 originally ended, because if the H4 had ended, after the extension was filed, and then he wanted to basically stop that extension and go to another employer and do another H4, it is very likely that that wouldn't work because she would have been out of status and can't do a change of status if you're out of status. So essentially, in that case, he would have had to have waited for the adjudication of the H4, and then he can go file the other H-1B and other H-4. He just needs to make sure that they're in status. And similarly, there's other similar issues where the person, this other person wanted to leave the United States while the extension was pending, but then change employers while they're out of the U.S. Well, there's issues with that. Which H-1B visa do you come back into the U.S. with? And if you come back with the old one, knowing that you had already changed to a new one, the immigration might consider that fraud. And of course, you're not going to have any evidence if you've left the country of the new one. Okay, that's only going to come once it's approved. So uh, the bottom line here is you have to be careful if you're on H-1B and you're porting to another employer. While yes, you don't have to worry about the cap, you don't have to worry about the lottery. It doesn't mean that you get a free ride to do whatever you want, how you want it, and everything's going to work out. It doesn't work like that. And to make things even more difficult these days, a lot of H-1B positions, which used to go through without a problem, are now being either denied or they are being scrutinized in a way that makes it difficult to know if it will actually be approved. In fact, there was an H-1B case just recently for an analyst, which usually doesn't have problems, but that went up on appeal because it was denied. It went up on appeal, and the appellate court reversed the decision of immigration, saying that it wasn't proper for them to deny that H-1B position, and in fact, it was a specialty occupation position. So that's the lowdown on the essentially porting H-1Bs. If you like the video, click like, subscribe, and more on the coming videos. Thank you.